Background: almost 2 years ago, I discovered that my now ex had been having an affair with a woman 10 years younger for about 6 months. I confronted my husband, and he admitted it immediately. Told me the plan was to leave me after Christmas, about 2 months away, and he would now be moving in with his girlfriend ASAP. You know those people who always say, "If he cheats, I'm out." I was one of them, and it turned out not to be true. I begged him to stay, work on us, stop seeing her, and give me a chance, etc. He coldly refused all of this, told me he loved me like a friend or aunt, but our 15-year marriage was over. Hoped we could be friends, and goodbye. We split all assets amicably. I got businesslike, thinking the reality would hit him hard. Now I just think I smoothed his way. We self-filed the divorce petition, no kids, and I was divorced inside 6 months of finding out about his affair and planned to walk out on me. He and his affair partner are now engaged. She was married too. What a prize, right? And their life is apparently better than anything he and I ever had. His family never made the effort to get along with me, but they plainly love her. His friends and family said that they've never seen him happier, and it's like I never existed. Even people who know what he has done, which is pretty much everyone, now congratulate him on his upcoming wedding and professional successes, etc. Doesn't help that his new piece is also a standout in our field, shared by all three of us, receiving multiple awards and nominations, which he brags about on social media. Yes, I'm bitter about the fact that he wronged me, broke his vows to me, and appears to be none the worse for any of it. I have tried to date, but I'm not ready, and no one interests me. Now to the point. Our friends Joe and Karen have a 5-year-old son, and we, X and I, are his godparents. He is very precious to me. I wanted kids, but that didn't happen. X and I both attended his 4th birthday party, which was right before our divorce was finalized, and kept things civil, even gave him a joint gift. And I admit, I thought at this time he might still change his mind and come back. When his 5th birthday party rolled around, I asked Joe and Karen to please leave me off the list if they were going to invite X, because I don't want to see him and can't handle it. It's too painful. Joe and Karen invited me and not the X, and I felt a small victory. Apparently, this upset the X because months and months later, Joe and Karen have sat me down for a talk. They told me that my godson still wants to see X, and they don't want to cut him out of their child's life. Furthermore, they're not interested in cutting him out as a friend. They never really did, but Karen didn't see him for a long time, and his friendship with Joe was mostly over the phone, text. I know this from asking Joe and Karen about it. They both told me that they found his behavior reprehensible and acknowledged that he wronged me, etc. But now they want to be friends with him again, and are not going to work to keep him away from me. This means I must now endure X's presence at life events for our godson, birthdays, upcoming graduations, his wedding, and more. And I am warned that eventually godson will also meet X's now fiancé, and she will be invited in the future as well. They have apparently made friends with this woman behind my back. If I cannot understand this, behave myself, I don't have to come around, and I will be sorely missed. Am I crazy in thinking that I should not be made to endure any of this? I can't lose this little boy from my life, but I can't fathom being around X, or worse, X and his new piece. How do I explain this to my friends? Or am I being unreasonable because I'm so bitter? Have you discussed this with a therapist? I don't think there's a right or wrong way for two people not involved in your romantic life to handle it. It's not always fair how mutual friends handle situations, and you must do what is best for you. You can't tell your friends who they can be friends with, but you can establish your own boundaries for yourself. If you think you can tolerate short spans of activities that your ex and likely the fiancé are present at, then fine, pretend they are invisible. However, if that is too painful, explain why you must decline invitations at the present. It is okay. Pertinent background. My ex left me almost 3 years ago now, for a woman 10 years younger. We were married 18 years. They were together for like 6 months behind my back, and then when I found out, he admitted the affair right away and told me he was leaving. Apparently, his plan had been to ask me for a divorce right after Christmas, but when he got caught, it shifted the timeline or whatever. I asked him to stay and work on us, but he refused. Our best friends have a son who is our godson, mine and ex's. They didn't cut him off or anything, but really rallied around me at first. I think they thought he'd change his mind and come back to me too. He didn't. Eventually, our friends sat me down and told me that they were moving on with X as godfather and getting to know the other woman and hoped everyone could just behave maturely. That hurt a lot, but I remained friends with them and stayed close with my godson. He means a lot to me. I have no children of my own. I have made a lot of progress and that I stopped looking at X's social media as well as his girlfriends. I did see that they got engaged about a year after he left me, but looking wasn't doing me any good. Plus, I had to do it through a fake account since they both blocked me. Well, I went to their house for godson's B-Day party last week, and they had a framed family photo on the counter. All dressed up, lovely outdoor setting. I had a terrible feeling in my stomach. I asked, and they casually said it was at X's wedding. I admit that my emotions got the best of me. I swept godson's present off the counter and pulled the photo face down. I asked how they could support this wedding and how they could bring godson around that woman. They acted shocked and said I knew they were friends with X and his now wife. Why wouldn't they go to his wedding? I left without even getting to say hi to my godson. I found out later I had been a late arrival guest and that X and new wife had already been there. They didn't want to make me see him because they know it's painful, as if that photo wasn't terribly painful enough and that I feel replaced. I haven't answered calls or texts from them, but I got a thank you note in the mail. Am I the a-hole? I don't see you as the a-hole, but it might be time to consider therapy for your still raw emotions over your ex. When I was 22, I met my wife, Grace, through my friend group, a mixture of couples and singles. It was a Friday when she confessed to me. We were intimate that weekend, and 3 weeks later, she sits me down and announces she's pregnant. I'm not going to lie, but my first instinct was that it wasn't mine. I figured that surely 3 weeks was too early to know, and I let her know what I thought. She was extremely hurt and upset and left my house. I didn't hear from Grace until after the child was born. Actually, it was her mother that knocked on my door and asked me for my hair so they could establish paternity. 4 weeks later, my mother-in-law sent me the results. The DNA was a 100% match to my child's. After some time, Grace agreed to get back together, and we have been married ever since. Now we have Molly, 17 female, twins, John, 11 male, Jane, 11 female, and Mark, 6 male. Over the years when I have asked Grace what she thought about a vasectomy, she was disinterested and never wanted to hear about it. I decided to get a vasectomy secretly about 2 years ago. My doctor cleared me twice on the results of my S tests. So imagine my surprise when Grace surprised me one night with the news that she was 2 months along. The next day, I did another S count and the results came back the same. I asked the doctor if there was any chance I could father right now. He said there was less than a 1% chance. That night, when I brought this up in conversation, Grace made me suspicious. I have since learned through DNA testing that only the twins are mine. I have made plans to leave Grace, including consulting a lawyer, and will be contesting for primary custody. I know I will be paying some alimony since she worked on and off as an EA, but we signed a prenup. My parents are well off, and we have been living in one of their many properties all these years. I have served my soon-to-be ex-wife divorce papers. Since my parents have found out, my dad commented that he can legally evict everyone on at least a 90-day notice. He said that if he started the proceedings immediately, he could have the eviction date to be before Grace was due. I asked my dad if he was serious, and he said he definitely was, as he could see how I would suffer still being there when Grace gives birth. He offered me to inhabit another one of his properties in a neighboring suburb, with enough room to bring the kids. I accepted my dad's offer, and we were served eviction papers yesterday. Today, I have family members who have called me callous and insensitive for making a pregnant woman homeless. I know I am legally in the right, as are my parents, but I am not sure if I am an a-hole by essentially evicting my soon-to-be ex-wife while she's pregnant, with a child that is not mine. So I'm curious, but ready for the judgment. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Grace has shown she can easily find different beds to sleep in. She'll be all right. Not the a-hole. She has been taking advantage of you for years, and you have every right to do what you're doing. You have been raising 4 children, and only 2 of them are yours. She's been taking you for a ride and deserves everything she gets. This started 3 years ago, but I didn't say much about it because I didn't know her too well. 3 years ago is when I found out that my mother-in-law would still talk to my husband's ex-girlfriend, and she even would go to his sister's track meets. I thought it was weird and started to question him if he still had a relationship with her, since she still has a relationship with his family. I didn't think much about it, and then nobody had contact with her for over a year. 1 year later, I am at my mother-in-law's house, and the ex-girlfriend shows up at the doorstep, and my mother-in-law doesn't tell me about it till later. She then later tells me about it because I work for her, so I'm over at the house a lot, and my mother-in-law told me that my husband's ex will be coming over again. Didn't know about the first time. To give her some mask because her friends have been asking her for those masks that his ex makes. I was also pregnant at the time, so I got pretty emotional about it and told my husband. He then explained to me to not care about it and leave it alone because he can't control his mother, so I trust him and leave it alone. Now, a few days ago, which was a year after, I was over visiting my mother-in-law with my baby girl and husband. My mother-in-law then tells us that she have just made a personal account on Instagram and then goes on about how she started following people on Instagram. But she didn't follow me or my husband on Instagram, even though she knows we use that more than Facebook to upload photos of our daughter. I found that weird. She then tells me how the first photo she posts is a picture of my husband holding my baby girl, kissing her, and my mother-in-law says, "Ooh, guess who messaged me after I posted the picture of him kissing his daughter?" And both of us looked confused, and I proceeded with asking, "Who?" She then tells us that my husband's ex-girlfriend messaged her, congratulating the family and my husband on the baby girl, and proceed with talking about how happy everyone must be. At that moment, I was caught so off guard that I looked at my husband, who looked so calm and almost like he didn't care that this just took place. I felt so awkward at the moment, not even knowing what to say. I just said, "Oh, that's weird," not talking about it any further till me and my husband gets home. I expressed that I'm pretty upset about it because I feel kinda disrespected. He said he didn't think I would care, so that's why he thought nothing of it. I got upset at him for not saying anything to his mother for doing something like that. I start questioning him if something is going on because it seems like an ongoing relationship. He tells me that he have no relation with his ex-girlfriend, and he doesn't know why his mom would go out of her way to follow his ex on Instagram and still have a relationship with her, because when they were together, his ex and his mom had no relationship, and his mom used to hate her because she cheated on my husband. I then felt so confused and got mad at him for not saying anything, so then he said he'll talk to her the next day. The next day, he comes home from work and tells me how the conversation went about his mother and him. He called his mom and said, "Mom, what is your point of talking about my ex?" Her response was defensive immediately. She says, "I talk to whoever I want." My husband then tells her that he doesn't want her to talk to her anymore because it's weird and also she is irrelevant. His mom then says, talking to her is just like talking to your dad, which is her ex. My husband then gets mad and says, "That's different because you have a child with him. I don't have a child with her. I have nothing with her. You would also get mad if I still had a relationship with your ex." The reason why my husband mentioned that she would get mad too is because she does not like his uncle's ex-wife, and she got mad at him a few days ago for saying, "Thank you, Auntie," because she wished him happy birthday because she isn't blood related, but have children with his uncle, which connects them. She gets mad and hang up the phone. Now I don't know what to do. I work with her, and I'm maternity leave right now, but I can't decide if I even want to go back working for her. I feel upset and disrespected, but I don't know if I have the right to be upset or not. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do I have the right to be upset? Should I go back working for her? Is it okay that I feel like I don't even want to have a close relationship with her? Is it right for me to feel that disrespected as I do? Is it okay that I feel upset that she didn't just keep this information to herself? Edit. I should probably also mention how my husband and her did not end on good terms, and that me and his ex have a bad past too. Before I knew who she was, she used to badmouth me all the time of her, my husband and I mutual friends. I also am upset because my mother-in-law always talks so much crap about her, but just seems fake because when texting my husband's ex, she is all sweet and sends a bunch of heart emojis, like she have forgotten what happened between my husband and her. Another thing you guys should probably also know is that my mother-in-law is known for making drama, and even though she knows something would upset someone, she will still say it. She is a big bully, and she likes to get in people's business that isn't hers. Also, I am aware that I am making a big deal out of it. I would have been fine with up until she mentioned the response to the picture. That was mother-in-law clearly trying to get a reaction and stir trouble. She can remain friends with whoever she wants, but she doesn't need to drag you into it. I think you should find a new job, not only because of this, but so you can keep a level of distance within the familiar relationship. You don't need to be close with a mother-in-law, just social enough during family gatherings. If she's willing to be this manipulative, it's probably best to be distant. I also wouldn't engage in any conversations surrounding the ex anymore. The ex is irrelevant and has no bearing on your family. Making a big deal out of it will give mother-in-law ammo to attempt to manipulate more and cause drama.